There really aren't any of our family members in cemeteries, like not even on the astral plane or in the ether and other such places.
No, that's not true. Because first of all, let me start over again right from the very beginning. The cemetery. I clearly remember the cemetery where my father is buried. I'm going to use it as a reference point because I remember it well, the energy there. Firstly, there is an egregore in the cemetery.
Yes,
This is the first thing.
Cemetery Gregor.
Cemetery egregore. Something that immediately catches the eye. The cemetery egregore is very strongly connected, firstly, with the Christian egregore, meaning specifically in the Russian cemetery. For example, in a Balinese cemetery, or say a Muslim one, it would be completely different. In a Russian cemetery, the Christian egregore is strong. Grief is also naturally present there. Spirits also gather there. But here's what's interesting. Since the Christian egregore is strong there, it somewhat holds them back. And you know, the spirits residing there are the ones who have successfully achieved some kind of balance. That is, they can remain in that place. So, as they say, when people mention hungry spirits, I instantly start to visualize in my mind, well, something like scenes from a terrifying horror movie. Guys like that, standing on a Christian cemetery with crosses, with crucifixes and so on, they simply won't be there physically. To be perfectly honest, I just realized this now, actually. But why do they feel the need to put such an overwhelming number of these crosses in the cemetery? After all, they basically protect the grave and the cemetery itself. And even above the entrance to the cemetery, they often hang a little cross. It's like, well, a kind of protective charm. In this particular sense, there really aren't any dark demonic entities residing there that want to feed on human energy. Absolutely none at all. However, there is a very specific cemetery Christian egregore present in that space, and it remains very calm, quiet, and remarkably peaceful. There are no hungry, frightening, evil spirits that want to devour a lot of energy.
But the egregore, okay, this cemetery egregore, it does feed off.
Yes, the cemetery egregore can consume energy, that's true. It can feed off energy.
From what? Is it from these emotional states? From grief, from physical pain, or from what exactly?
Yes, in general, it just likes to feed on energy.
How do you feel from the perspective of the higher self about taking children there to the cemetery? Well, for example, for the funeral of a loved one or something like that?
Honestly, I'm neutral about it. It's like this. There's a Christian egregore there if you're describing the energetic architecture of a cemetery. It literally hangs over it like a dome, this very Christian egregore, and specifically the Christian egregore of the afterlife. It's a special, so to speak, layer, quite a dense one. There are a significant number of various entities there that, once again, seem to feel quite comfortable and at home in this layer, but they are not some kind of inherently super evil or malicious beings. No, there are often those very delicate etheric bodies, the etheric doubles, and the lingering etheric bodies belonging to individuals who have recently passed away.
Recently, or in general? So, for example, are there spirits that wander around cemeteries for years?
Yes, there are. But not spirits, etheric ones, these doubles, so-called etheric imprints. Of course, you could call them hungry ghosts. As many times as I've been to a cemetery, I've never had the feeling that they just swoop down on you and start draining your energy.
So, how do they survive if they...
They don't survive. They gradually fade away, disintegrate. Some of them, maybe, that's just the sense I'm picking up right now. They can sort of latch onto a person, especially someone who is sick, someone who is really weak, someone whose protective field is completely gone and just hang around in their field a little and drain from them. Again, for example, I've gone to the cemetery many times with my children, like, for example, to my grandfather's grave, yes, to my father's. No one ever latched onto anyone there. And as many times as I've been to different cemeteries, no one has ever latched onto me. I've never had that feeling of something attaching to my field. You can really feel it. It's a very real sensation. I'll say this. In Bali, our favorite place...
It happens more often.
Yes, it happens more often. And there are also some fascinating and direct... What's interesting is that there are some direct connections with souls who have departed from this world. A soul goes for reincarnation approximately within a period of 50 to 70 or even 100 years after their physical death occurs here on Earth. Almost no one goes for reincarnation immediately. It's quite a lengthy
process. You say that they leave, by our standards, after 50 to 70 years?
By their standards, it's a bit faster.
Well, yes. So it's impossible for a situation to happen where, say, your grandfather dies, right?
Yes.
And then, I don't know, he eventually reincarnates and you finally get to meet him.
That can happen, but it's rare. More often, the average age for reincarnation, or rather the average duration, is probably around 40 or 50 years. By the way, Michael Newton calculated this in his book. He even gave, I think, a specific number. I don't remember it exactly, but it was something around 40, 50, maybe 60 years. Those souls that are older who plan their expeditions more thoroughly tend to reincarnate about once a century, once every 100 years. Souls who died prematurely, yes, they can die and then return almost immediately, say, in about 5 or maybe 10 years.
But if we completely eliminate the fundamental concept of time altogether, all our lives are actually occurring simultaneously.
This simultaneity happens at a very high transcendental level, which is unattainable, even in the afterlife. In the afterlife, 99.9% of all souls remain on the astral plane of planet Earth, where there is a past, a future, a past life, a future life, and a kind of conditional age of the spirit that emerges from this. That is, as soon as we have a timeline, we immediately have the age of the spirit. More mature, less mature, and so on and so forth. Stories about some higher transcendental matters are a separate topic for a separate video. There exists a profound connection with these worlds, and there is a connection with those of our relatives who have transitioned over to the astral plane. There is a connection because when I, for example, would come to the grave and address my father, I could distinctly and vividly feel that he was looking at me, really looking, almost descending, and I would literally start to feel his presence right there. And then the energy would rise upward again. So there is a distinct clear zone and point of attachment located right there within the cemetery grounds as well. We have a blog, and it's most likely located somewhere down below this video, right? Right there, yes, right below me there's a link. There are tons of different texts about life after death, about cemeteries, about dying, because we've researched this topic a lot, my colleagues and I. We've written about life after death in every possible way, in every variation. To be honest, I think that since the time of Michael Newton, almost no one in the field has documented or described life after death as thoroughly as we have. It is just so remarkably detailed and truly comprehensive. There are a lot of interesting texts on this topic there. That's right, both mine and my co-authors' texts are in the blog. As for cemeteries, I'll say this. From the perspective of the higher self, cemeteries are absolutely unnecessary for the spirit. In other words, it's like, well, that's already a closed chapter. Cemeteries and memorial parks are more for the living. If you really feel that when you come to the cemetery, you feel comfortable and at peace there, and you truly can connect much better with your beloved family members in that special place, then please feel free to go ahead and visit whenever you wish. If, on the contrary, you feel uncomfortable there, and it's a genuine feeling, not out of fear, but truly just uncomfortable, simply uncomfortable for you, this is a bit of that Christian necrotic energy, right? And you feel that even without going to the cemetery, you can easily connect with your relatives. Overall, you don't need it. Again, not out of fear, but truly from the heart, from inner honesty. In that case, it might be better if you don't go. Yes, I believe that this topic should be left, so to speak, to each person's individual choice, so that everyone is guided by their own inner feelings, their own sensations, and so on. So, in light of that,
you can communicate with another person's higher self through your own higher self.
Anyone at all, yes.
Even someone who has passed away, yes. This seems to me to be even more
productive, a more productive,
pure contact. It's just that, well, I have communicated with souls, with the higher selves of other people.
You have, yes?
Yes, and we've communicated with you as well. You were testing me.
Yeah.
Well, and it really is it's very much different. I mean, it's pure.
It's pure, yes.
And it's truly informative. It really does provide some kind of support again, because usually, well, why do people go there too, right? If it's a church or something like that, for those who really want to make contact with a loved one who has passed away, here you can truly feel it directly. You feel that connection. And, well, really, the communication is just so direct.
Yes, that's true. And in fact, I myself have communicated with my deceased grandmother, with my deceased father. Very often, especially in the past, I communicated through the higher self. At this very moment, for example, I feel that certain individuals among them, actually both of them, have begun the process of preparing more for reincarnation. Just a little bit. It seems to me that they will return sooner than in 40 years. They will come back sooner, maybe in 10 or 15 years. And
will you potentially be able to find out perhaps where they have reincarnated?
Yes,
Seriously?
absolutely, yeah. I might even be able to go visit them.
Really? Seriously?
Yes.
Do you think they would be able to recognize you?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't thought about that yet, but
Possible via the higher self, right?
yes, of course. It's possible to do that through the higher self. And you can communicate clearly with your relatives through the higher self, receiving feedback from them. You can also communicate with your soul family, for example, those who have not incarnated. If you're interested in the topic of soul families, give a like and write in the comments that you're interested in the topic of soul families. The more of you there are, the more likely we'll make separate videos, maybe discuss stories about soul families. That's it. But this is actually quite a real topic. By the way, this is not a difficult topic to explore through the higher self. There are some deeply profound and complex concepts there that can take a very long time and be exceptionally challenging to master. But this particular topic is absolutely not difficult. So yes, if you're interested, join us in July. There will be a discounted group. We'll also be covering all sorts of contacts there, including with deceased relatives, as well as contacts with all kinds of different realms, worlds, and planes. And at the same time, there are also very, very tangible physical things. Working through the higher self, relationships through the higher self, health through the higher self, and all of that. That's it. So yes, we will be combining both deeply spiritual matters and purely practical physical ones.
My dear friends, for 10 years now, I've been teaching a course on the higher self for a Russian-speaking audience. During this time, about 4,000 to 4,500 people have passed through my school. I've been working on this topic for 20 years. Today, my school is one of the largest and most famous specialized schools for connecting with the higher self in the Russian-speaking world. And then I suddenly realized that it is finally time to reach out to the masses, so to speak. Yes, to the much wider world and to the incredibly vast expanse of the entire global internet. All the professional skills I have carefully developed, all the dedicated practices I have refined, and all the quick entries, thorough checks, and rigorous exams I have built over the last 10 years are now being brought to a truly global level. I now invite you to join a brand new, specially discounted group for the comprehensive Return to the True Self course, now available in English for students everywhere. 6 months of work on stopping the internal dialogue, working with blocks, and focusing on actually accessing the higher self. Answering both simple and complex questions regarding purpose, contact with God, and with the planet. Answering basically any questions on any topic, including work, relationships, and anything at all. Manifesting desires through the higher self, viewing past lives through the higher self, and everything that didn't fit into the first 5 months in a separate 6th one. And after that, you'll have the opportunity to join the alumni club, as well as the chance to continue your studies at the 2nd level of the school. The price for the discounted groups is discounted. You can find all the information about this below at the link under this video.